Dajjal, the greatest fitna that is tried ever in the history of humanity, from the time of Adam al-Islam to the last human that will be born. Every prophet, from Adam al-Islam to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, warned their ummah about the fitna of Dajjal, the tribulation of Dajjal. But Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us about certain additional details, and there is wisdom at work here with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is because though the fact remains that Dajjal is the greatest fitna ever in the history of humanity, but only the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will have to confront the fitna of Dajjal. Now, the topic of Dajjal is vast, and there are many things that we can discuss. But today we intend to discuss about one specific aspect of it, and that is the island of Dajjal. Okay. So this is what we will discuss today. And you've been hearing my lectures. I've spoken about Dajjal in the past, and I'm speaking about Dajjal now. I will be speaking about Dajjal in the future as well. But today you will hear some information for the first time related to this topic, this subtopic about Dajjal, about the island of Dajjal, which you've never heard before, not from any other source. And we must give credit where credit is due. Part of the research was conducted by Brother Sajjad, who happens to be a core member of our team, and we will proceed with this discussion. So let's proceed. In this context, if we want to discuss about this topic or subtopic, it is important for us to refer to a hadith which in the literature is referred to the hadith of Tamim Dari radiyallahu anhu. And the hadith is vast. We will not discuss about the entirety of the hadith. We will discuss about the hadith, of course, but that will be in a separate session, inshallah. Because today's topic is focused, is specific. We will talk about that, and we will bring in other hadiths to relate and deal with it holistically. Now, from the context of the hadith, it is clear that Tamim Dari, radiyallahu anhu, he narrated what happened with him, the event or the incident, as we may call it, to the Prophet Muhammad, and the Prophet in turn recounted it to his companions, and through him it has reached us. So the hadith actually narrates the recounting of the narration of the tale by Prophet to the companions. This is it then. And who is Tamim Dari, by the way? Tamim Dari, he was a Christian. He was a Christian priest. He was a knowledgeable Christian at that, and he accepted Islam in the year 631 CE. And in the same year, sometime in the same year later, he went on one of his journey. He was a intrepid traveler, by the way. So he used to love his journeys. So it was in one of his journeys that he encountered this. And this historical narrative is preserved in the hadith statements, as we have said. Now, in this narration, we come to know that Tamim Dari set sail on a sea journey with 30 men from the Lakham and Juzam tribes, so among his companions, and he set sail in a ship, in a sailing ship. You cannot imagine the modern ships. Then all the calculations and whatever we discuss will become hodgepodge. It will not be sensible. And you also have to keep in mind about the timeline of the event, 1400 plus years ago, so that when we discuss about the shape, what type of shape, so those things will not create much confusion in our minds. So that is it then. We have set this background for us to be able to take this discussion forward. Now, the first point that I want to tell you, and we need to cut a long story short, and we will jump straight into the relevant portion of the hadith, right? Because the hadith is long, as I said, and we'll have a separate discussion about the hadith, which is a famous hadith, by the way. That is a separate topic altogether. So they sailed westwards. This is a starting point. And you might object to this because you have heard that he traveled eastwards. That is what you've heard. But we are pointing to a statement in the hadith where it mentions Maghrib al-Shamsi. Maghrib al-Shamsi. It's actually Maghrib al-Shamsi, but because of the presence of the word Hatta, it becomes Maghrib al-Shamsi. Anyway, ثُمَّ أَرْفَعُوا إِلَى جَزِيرَةٍ في البحر جزيرة في البحر حتى مغرب الشمس. This is the segment which we are focusing on. So two things are mentioned over here, two very important things. One is he reached an island, Jazira, fil bahar, in the sea. Island in the sea, I mean, island is in the sea, but then it's making it more explicit so that there is no confusion later on. So that is why it's being made explicit in the hadith statement as well. In the same hadith, it talks about Jazira elsewhere because it is clear Jazira means an island, Jazira fil bahar means an island in the sea, which means an island. Hatta Maghrib al-Shamsi. This part has been translated to mean that the time at which he reached the island was Maghrib, was the sunset time. While this interpretation is linguistically allowed, according to me, this is not the correct way to interpret or look at this word over here. I'd rather suggest to you that Maghrib al-Shamsi in this case refers to the direction. Now, how can I change the translation? I'm not changing the translation. I'm not tampering with this. I'm sticking to the text, the Arabic text. And the Arabic text from the linguistic point of view allows for that, because this ism, Maghrib, is a type of ism which is called ism zarf, which means it can both indicate time as well as place. Now time, you understand, the time of sunset, the time of the setting of the sun. Also the place of the setting of the sun, which means west. Also the direction, that is why Maghrib refers to the west, right? And Mashriq to the east. So the terminology used in the hadith allows for both the interpretations. I'm only suggesting that the first interpretation is not the correct interpretation in this case. It can be a secondary interpretation, all right, but the second interpretation is what is more sensible in this case, and we will understand and appreciate it more as we proceed with this session. So, okay, they travel westward, and it can also happen that they reach the island at the time of sunset. Both can be simultaneously true, but the primary meaning cannot be at the time of sunset. It has to be in reference to the place or the direction, the westward journey. That is what is my contention, and I'll explain through multiple other points in the hadith, and we'll connect various other points as well. Now, this part of the information is critical, crucial, and pivotal to our entire discussion. Critical, crucial, and pivotal to our entire discussion. So, we need to focus on this part as we proceed. Now, from the hadith, we come to know that they were in the sea for a month. The word used is shahr. Shahr means month, and fil bahar, and bahar means sea. So, in the sea, they were for a month, and they were tossed around by the waves. The waves toss them around, so that is what is also mentioned. And it is in this island that they encounter and eventually meet Dajjal. And he is in the shape of a man. I mean, they perceived him to be a well-built man with good physique. He was chained, by the way. The Arabic word is there, and there means monastery. So there was a monastery which was dilapidated, and he was chained with iron chains, and his hands were tied to his neck and his knees and ankles. He was absolutely chained with the iron chains. That is what is also mentioned in the hadith statement. And Dajjal claimed to be Al-Masih. This is strange because we have heard this hadith several times, and all the lecturers, all the scholars, all the translators translated this as Dajjal said, I am Dajjal. What sort of a nonsensical rubbish translation is that? You need to be true to the words in the text of the hadith, the matan, right? You talk about matan and sanad, and you disgraceful that you are, and that you tamper with the text of the hadith. He claimed to be Al-Masih, and this is a separate topic of our discussion. And obviously he is not Masih, that is okay. But he claimed to be Al-Masih. Ana Al-Masihu, he said. Ana Al-Masih. But we need to preserve the text. Why, how, what reasons, and the entire elaborate discussion is a separate topic. We'll do that. But we need to preserve the text. Okay. And he cannot be the Masih, we know, because why should the Masih be chained, right? So that is that. And then he makes another very important statement. He said, my khuruj will happen, and so it will happen soon, and I will stay on the earth for 40 nights or 40 days. In a different hadith, it says 40 days. Irrespective whether the statement is 40 days or 40 nights, it doesn't matter because it talks about the same timeline. So it doesn't really matter. Point to be noted is his khuruj, the khuruj of Dajjal is being spoken about in this hadith, and the khuruj means release, emergence, exit from the island. And then he will spread fitna, of course. And when will this khuruj happen? That is my question. That we cannot know from this hadith, but there is a hadith in Ibn Majah where it is mentioned that after the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that Dajjal will, the Khuruj of Dajjal will happen 2 centuries after me, 2 centuries later. What it means is, it's talking in terms of centuries, not in terms of years. So 2 centuries, after 2 centuries means after 200 years, but before 300 years. Why do I say that? Because if it were to be after 300 years, then the hadith is wrong. Then the Prophet might as well have said after 300 years, 3 centuries, right? So after 200 years and before 300 years. So what is the timeline we're looking at? The Prophet ﷺ remained with us till 632 CE. So 200 years, 2 centuries after that is 832 CE, and 3 centuries after that is 932 CE. Somewhere in between those two years, 832 CE and 932 CE is the time, perhaps around 900 CE is when we are expecting the Khuruj of Dajjal. So Dajjal, the Khuruj of Dajjal has happened long time back. And if you would be stupid enough to think that the Khuruj will happen later, you might have the intellect of a donkey to believe that, because it's clear in the hadith, and we don't deny the hadith. And if you deny the hadith, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, anyone who lies about me, they should know that they will let them find their place in, where you know that, hellfire. So don't belie the Prophet, okay? So the next part is also very important. I'm going to read that out, this section from this hadith itself. It says, ala. Now, ala, the word harf, doesn't have any specific meaning as such. It is used just to draw the attention. So attention, pay attention, something like that. Innahu fi bahari al-Shami, Bahari Shami, or Bahari al-Yamani, or Bahari al-Yamani. My contention is that this is not the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. And you say, this is a hadith, how can I deny that? You will want to label me as a kafir, but wait, hold on. Let us decide who is a kafir and who is a not. Don't jump to conclusions, bear with me. So the Prophet ﷺ, do you mean to suggest that he is not guided and you are guided? What nonsensical claim is that? And if anyone blasphemes the Prophet, what is he? Answer me that. Answer the principle, and then you come to conclusions. The Prophet ﷺ, in this hadith itself, he says, after narrating this incident, have I not told you something similar about Dajjal before also? From where did he know? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the source is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that source cannot be wrong. That source has to be 100% correct. And he had narrated this information before. Obviously, it came to him via Jibreel alayhi salam. That's all right. But the information, the origin of the information is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And moreover, Tamim Dari just came and narrated it to him. And he is narrating it back to the companions. He specifically assembled them, called them to assemble in the masjid to just narrate this incident. And do you think he will be confused? Allah has informed him. Tamim Dari just now informed him in which way he set out in his journey, and do you think he will be confused? He will say Dajjal is either in the Syrian Sea or in the Yemen Sea. What nonsense is that? Dajjal is either in the Syrian Sea or in the Yemen Sea? He does not know. You claim that? Rubbish and nonsense. He knows. It is the narrator who has forgotten. And that is, we don't blame the narrator. Why? Because we are not expecting the narrator to be a scholar, an expert in geography. He knows or she knows, it doesn't matter whether the narrator is a he or she, doesn't matter. The narrator knows about the geography of the Arab heartland. And what is the geography of the Arab heartland? It's very simple. So basically there are 4 parts. But first, to understand the 4 parts, we have to understand 3 parts. The northern part, the north, the south, and the central part. The north part is what was referred to as Sham. The south was what was referred to as Yemen. And the central part is further divided into 2 parts. The west is called Hijaz and the east is called Najd. This is the 4 parts. But the 4 parts, we cannot think of it as 4 parts. We have to first think of it as 3 parts. North, south, central. And the central part now gets subdivided into 2 parts. West and east. This is the arrangement. So Arab doesn't mean Saudi Arabia. Arab means the whole of the Arab heartland. That is what was meant during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So Sham was included, Yemen was included, Hijaz was included, Najd was included. So the totality was the Arab heartland. The totality was the Jaziratul Arab. That was it. So now, taking the Arab heartland as a whole, now if we look at all the directions, in the west there is Africa, the continent of Africa. In the east there is Persia, the Persian Empire. Today it is known as Iran. The Persian Empire had a significant influence in global affairs at that time. So the Persia was in the east. In the north was Sham, and just besides Sham was the Mediterranean Sea. And in the south was Yemen, and just below, in the eastward direction, was the Arabian Sea, or the Yemen Sea, as it is being referred to in the Hadith. If we are now clear about the geography, then you cannot possibly be confused whether the direction was Mediterranean Sea or Yemen Sea. You cannot be confused. How can you be confused? So the Prophet ﷺ did mention it's in the Mediterranean Sea, in the westward direction. And that is why Maghrib Shams, you remember, I got your attention, drew your attention to Maghrib Shams. That is why. So there are further proofs about that. And about the eastward journey, that is not possible, and we will explain why. Now, Sham, we need to understand. What is Sham? Sham today, loosely we say Syria, but at that time, Sham was what is today referred to as Greater Syria, or sometimes as Levant. So this sea, Baharu al-Shami or Baharu Sham, is literally translated with the Sea of Sham, the Sea of Syria, the Sea of Greater Syria, the Sea of Levant, the Sea of the Syrian Sea, the sea adjacent to Syria, something like that. But today we refer to it as the Mediterranean Sea. So no harm done, as long as we understand what we are referring to, whatever name we refer to it as, doesn't really matter. In the southern part now, the Baharul Yaman is the Yemen Sea, also called the Yemen Sea, or the Sea of Yemen, or the Sea of Yemen, or the Yemenite Sea, or it's also called the Gulf of Aden, and which joins with the Arabian Sea. It's also called in that sense called the Arabian Sea as well. Gulf of Aden or the Sea of Aden. And Aden, by the way, so Yemen was united, and then Yemen became two parts, and the capital of one part was Sana'a, and the capital of the other part was Aden, and again it became one nation. And so the capital Sana'a became the capital, which was the largest city as well, of the combined Yemen, which was originally the case. Now, Aden was the second most largest city. It's a port city, by the way. And Aden is derived from the term Aden, and from Aden, in the English, we got Eden, the Garden of Eden, you've heard, that's how it's derived. The Garden of Eden is derived from the English word Eden, and Eden in turn is from the Arabic word Aden. So that is Yemen. So there's called Gulf of Aden, or the Gulf of Sea of Aden, or the Sea of Yemen, or the Yemenite Sea, or which mixes with the Arabian Sea. So the Arabian Sea and the Mediterranean Sea is what we are referring to. So far, so good. Now, the next part of the hadith is where the maximum mistranslation has caused the maximum fitna, and the translators have contributed to that, not by mistake, but they've contributed to this cause. And that part we will read out now. It says, Min kibali al-mashriki ma huwa. And they have translated it, and when they give lectures, when they give speeches, they speak like this. And he's in the east, and he's in the east, and he's in this nonsense. Liars you are. Liars. Blatant liars. That's not what the meaning is. Kibali, whether you are alim or zalim, does not matter one bit. You don't even have to rely on me. Go and open the dictionary, and you will get to know the meaning of the word kibali. Kibali, the meaning is power. Power. Min kibali, mashriki. Al-mashriki, ma huwa. So the meaning becomes something like this. So the primary meaning we now know, kibali means power. That is the primary meaning. That exact word, the exact dictionary meaning you get in the dictionary. Right? Don't have to go here and there. So that is that. Now, min kibali al-mashriki ma huwa. I'll explain, and hence I will refer to why it is he's in the east, he's in the east, he's in the east. You say thrice, and you deviate people further. You confuse people further. You lie to people and you confuse them. So what it essentially means is that this is now talking about his zuhur. Zuhur and khuruj is different. Khuruj has already happened. 900 something, around about that time. Zuhur, his appearance in front of us, will happen in the form of a man. That has not yet happened. Don't claim falsely that I have said that the Dajjal has not, whatever false claims you want to. Don't do that. Dajjal, I'm claiming that the Zuhur of Dajjal has happened. No, I'm not claiming that. The Khuruj of Dajjal has happened. The release of Dajjal has happened. That is in accordance with the hadith. And if you don't believe, then you are a liar, not me. But if the Zuhur of Dajjal has not yet happened, I'm saying that it has not yet happened. And for this, we have to refer to a hadith which is in Sahih Muslim. This hadith, by the way, is in Sahih Muslim as well, but a different hadith we need to refer to in the same hadith book, Sahih Muslim, where it is said that Dajjal will stay on the earth for 40 days. And the first 3 days will be different. It will be longer days, it will not be like our days. And the last 37 days will be like our days. It is when he enters our dimension of space-time, we will be able to see him. And about the dimension aspect, we'll dedicate this in a separate lecture session. Not in this session, it will become too complicated, overtly complicated. So 3 plus 37 is 40. That's what that hadith talks about. So the first 3 days are different. Those are longer time periods, time spans, if you may. See, in those time spans, Dajjal will operate from what we say in the English language, behind the scenes. He will cause fitna. He will spread fitna, but that will be, his control will be from behind the scenes, not in a manifest form. He will not be in an apparent form. That will only happen in the last 37 days. Go and read the hadith. So, now we will explain min kibali al-mashriki mahwa. So what it essentially means, because it means power, and the stage will be set just before his appearance. Okay? Okay, but before that, let me explain to you the word, the root, verbal root. So, kibali is noun. I've explained the meaning power, but the verbal root from which it is derived, qabala, the meanings, the various meanings are to receive hospitably, give a friendly reception, receive favorably, to accept, approve, agree, consent, admit, allow, make possible. So, all of these are talking about the people and their interaction with Dajjal. The people will receive Dajjal hospitably. They will give him a friendly reception. They will receive him favorably. They will accept him. They will approve of him. They will agree with him. They will consent to that. They will admit. They will allow him. They will make it possible for him to carry forward his mission. They will facilitate all of these. So in that context, we say, and the stage will be set just before his appearance. So when he does appear, he will do so with full power. That is what is meant. And he, Dajjal, will appear from the east. That is what the Prophet said. When he appears, he will appear from the east. But his island was in the west. So that is why he is emphasizing, because it is natural, if his island is in the west, it is natural for us to think that he will appear from the west. So he is clarifying that he will appear from the east. And the total control he will wield, the people will be in awe and shock. And that is why they will cry out, proclaim, Mahwa, what is this? What is he? It's not Manhua, who is he? What is he? What is it? They will be in awe and shock. How can he control the earth, the world, the globe, the way he is able to do that? So they will be shocked. They will be in awe. They will be confused. And it will come out from them in exasperation. That is what is meant. And this entire sentence is repeated 3 times. And the stage will be set just before his appearance. We're talking about the zuhur of Dajjal now. And so when he does appear, he will do so with full power, and he, Dajjal, will appear from the east. And the total control he will wield, the people will be in awe and shock and say, what is he? 3 times. This is the entire statement is mentioned. And after that, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam just says, rather he does, and that is what is also captured in the hadith. He says, wa aw ma'a bi yadihi ila al-mashriqi. And he pointed with his hand towards the east. Why did he say so? Is it because the island is in the east? No. Do you not understand order and structure and sequence? The first thing refers to the west. The second thing, he clarifies that because his island is in the west, it is a possibility that he might think that he will appear from the west, but that will not be the case. He will be released after 200 years. Then he will spread fitna in the first 3 days from behind the scenes. And from the 4th day onwards, when he will actually appear in the form of a man, he will do so from the east. And this is in reference, this is mentioned in another hadith, where it is mentioned that the Dajjal will appear in our dimension of space-time in the form of a man from the city of Isfahan, which is Iran, present-day Iran, but erstwhile Persia. And if you check Medina and Isfahan, that is in the east. It's talking about zuhur, not khuruj. You might have the intellect of a donkey to believe all these false notions. We have set the background for a discussion, so now let's proceed. Now it's time for us to let's take a deep dive into the analysis. If we look at the Arab heartland and the Arab geography, and we have explained that the north and the east, the west and the east, Africa and Persia, and the north and the south, the Sham and Yemen, and the 2 seas. Adjacent to Sham is the Mediterranean Sea, and adjacent to Yemen is the Arabian Sea. also called the Yemen Sea. Anyway, so we've explained all of that. And we've explained why the Prophet cannot be confused. Why he'll not say two things, because he knows. So now, if the journey is westwards, Maghribu Shamsi also you remember. Again, you'll say explicitly, is that the only thing that can be derived? No, I am agreeing. I'm not hiding anything. I'm giving you all possible options and then I'm telling you which is the most sensible one and backing it up, substantiating it with from the other parts of the same hadith and the other hadith. I'm not hiding anything. Others are hiding and lying, blatant lies they are saying. So if we take that path, Mediterranean Sea, we need to now locate an island, which is at a month's journey from that location, from the Arab heartland, which happens to be Syria towards the north, in a sailing ship. And do we find an island? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That island is the island of Britain. That happens to be the island of Britain. Let's do the math. Let's do the calculation. Since we are measuring sea distance and not land distance or air distance, air was not even applicable at that time, we need to identify ports, right? So the principal port of Syria is Latakia. And what is the principal or the port of Britain we are going to consider? It's a no-brainer. You all know London. London has been the most influential city for 1,000 years. This is a no-brainer. Everyone knows that London, the most influential city for 1,000 years. The sea distance between Latakia and London ports is 3,322 nautical miles, but we don't understand nautical miles. That's a measurement in sea. But we do understand kilometers. So converted to kilometers, it is 6,152 kilometers. How much? 6,152 kilometers. We understand kilometers, right? Now, the speed of the sailing ships at that time, that's why I said don't compare it with the modern ships, the energy-powered ships. We have to compare it with the sailing ships. It was around 8 to 10 kilometers per hour. Now, if we consider the average, it comes to around approximately 9 kilometers per hour. 8 to 10 average is 9 kilometers per hour. But you remember that they were caught up in a bad weather and they were tossed around. The waves tossed them around. The bad weather caused them to be tossed them around. So we can consider 5% reduction in speed for our calculations, and that makes the speed approximately 8.5 kilometers per hour. Fair enough, but the calculations are in knots. So 8.5 kilometers per hour translate to 4.6 knots. You can go in the internet and check what I'm saying is true or not. So we are at the final step of the calculation. Now, if the distance is 6,152 kilometers and the speed is 4.6 knots, what is the time taken? So distance by speed, what will we get? Time. And sure enough, we calculate the time, and you should do the calculation, not rely on Alim Zalim and not rely on me as well. You should go to the internet and verify it for yourselves that it comes out to 30 days. 30 days. Does it ring a bell in your ear? It should. Either it does, if it doesn't, it should. Because for how long were they at the sea? For how long? It says Shahr, that means month, 30 days. Everything fits like the pieces of jigsaw puzzle coming together. Everything fits like a hand in a glove. We are able to connect the dots. We are able to understand everything together because we made an honest attempt to study the various parts of the hadith, connect it, and also reference from various other hadiths so that we understand it as a whole. The hadith states that the waves tossed them around. The bad weather tossed them around. The waves played with them for a month in the sea. And now, if you take the westward journey, there is no other island at that distance, at that 1 month's travel time, other than Britain. Only one. And if you travel eastward, which is never the case, then any island that you will encounter is about half the distance, 3,000 kilometers, less than that, a little bit more than that. 6,000 is out of question, and that is out of question anyway. We had explained that before as well. Now, one last, what should I say, a final nail on the coffin for the scholars. Wait, that is Britain, a small island nation. How is it possible for a small island nation like Britain to become a superpower, a major superpower, and be the de facto ruling state in the world? You explain to me, please. How is it possible? Except that our contention is that that coincides with the first day of Dajjal, and Dajjal now operates from Britain From that island, after his release, he makes that as a base and he operates out of that behind this while working behind the scenes, without making himself apparent or manifest, without coming out in his physical form, in the form of a human. He works behind the scenes and causes fitna. The world witnesses fitna like never before. And for the last 1,000 years, 900 to roughly 1,000 years, he operated out of Britain. And if Britain was the superpower, the ruling state in the world, how come one fine morning it so happens that it is no more the ruling state? Because Dajjal has entered his second day, which will be a shorter day compared to the first day. And he is now operating out of America. So America becomes the ruling state in the world. And this discussion about the time dimension aspect of Dajjal, we will dedicate a separate session, a separate lecture on this, because that topic by itself is another vast topic. We'll do that. So I think we are almost done with the lecture. I'll just quickly try to recollect if I've missed anything. And if I haven't, I'll summarize it for your ease, and then we'll draw a conclusion to this session. So I think, yes, so all these points we have already covered. We can remember the Maghrib al-Shamsi thing, we can remember the Jazira fil Bahar thing, we can remember Dajjal claiming to be Al-Masih, which has been, what should I say, translated as I am Dajjal, and what should I say, that is a mistake. That is not a mistake, that is your corruption, that is your fitna, the scholars and the translators fitna. And those who rely on translations and become scholars and presenters and speakers and lecturers, shame on you for deviating people. You have no knowledge and you deviate people. You have the audacity to do that. And then we'll talk about Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cannot possibly be confused about that being the Mediterranean Sea or the Arabian Sea. He cannot be confused. It's what the narrator who was confused. And then we clarified once for all and for all. For the first time, this is presented to you for the first time. And it has never been presented to you before. Especially this part. Min kibali al-mashriki ma huwa. And then the last part. Wa'aw ma bi yadihi ila al-mashriki. All of these we have covered. And finally, the different hadiths and the distance, the final part, the distance and the speed, and so the time, and that was the exact time spent by Tamim Dari and his companions in the sea. So all of these are beautifully coming together, and the fact that Britain, how come it became a ruling state and then it is no more the ruling state. So the Dajjal's operations in day 1 and day 2 and day 3, what will happen, and day 4 onwards we'll be able to see him. So don't spread lies about me. You'll be badly exposed. I have never claimed that he has, his zuhur has appeared. Zuhur has happened. Zuhur al-Dajjal. No, it has not happened. Khuruj, certainly, in the hadith it is mentioned. Go and check. I've already given all the references. So we will summarize. We have already summarized. What we'll do is, Dajjal, the topic is vast. We have talked about just one aspect of Dajjal. And I have talked about Dajjal, about various aspects previously as well as we're talking now. And we intend to speak about that in the future as well. We will be talking about the other aspects of Dajjal in our other lectures and sessions. We will do so. But what you can do is to subscribe to the channel so that you are informed as and when we release a new video. You can also hit the bell icon for notifications and set it to all so that whenever we release a video, it reaches you first. Leave a comment about this video, how your appreciation of this subject, about this topic, subtopic about Dajjal sort of developed, how you understood it and appreciated it. Forget about my explanation. The thing that was always mentioned in the hadith, it's always been there. It's just that there was no one to explain it to you. And I've explained to you in the past, but this was with much more details, and I've given credit to where it is due. All of that I've done. Give it a like, comment, but most importantly, also in the comment, you should let us know what future topics you would like us to discuss about related to Dajjal. Otherwise, we'll be doing topics about various aspects of Dajjal anyway. If you want a specific topic, do let us know. So about Dajjal, about Akhirul Zaman, about Surah Kahf, about other topics about Islam. And when you hear about them as well, you will be surprised and you will see, okay, so we did not know even about this and even about this and even about this and even about this. Where are we in terms of knowledge? So all of these you'll get to know. And finally, do share this video so that your friends, share it with your friends so that they are benefited as much as you are being benefited from this channel, from this video and this channel. So we end today's session and that's it for today.